All right, thank you everybody for attending. We will be going over the home services industry, specifically these key concepts. So feel free to ask a question during this presentation. If we could address it in real time, we will. There will be time at the end of the presentation to address any of your questions you might have. But I really wanted to preface this conversation with these core concepts that we want to cover. So we'll be going over the marketing funnel, audience targeting, performance measurement. We'll tie all of that together so you kind of understand how this works holistically. And like I said, we'll have a Q&A. So I'll go ahead and let Kelly
Perfect.
cover the sales funnel and you can hop right into it.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. So moving on to the next slide, this is the sales funnel. This is honestly one of my favorite slides, one of my favorite tools to look at when creating strategies. It's a really effective tool to make sure that when we're creating these strategies, we're hitting our customers at every stage of the buying funnel. So understanding what types of products and targeting works well for branding awareness is going to be different than the products or tactics you'd need to get someone to convert into a customer. And it's really going to guide our product mix as well. Looking at the top of funnel, you can see that branding and awareness. The point here is we really want to cast a wide net. Branding and awareness is that opportunity for us to run a campaign that attracts new customers. That's when your traditional and digital marketing comes into play. So maybe a TV ad, magazine, print, programmatic display, video. All of these are really effective products to be able to fill your sales funnel and consistently bring new customers to the table. And then looking at the next slide, we look a little bit further down the sales funnel. You can see those products have changed. We're now looking at local SEO, organic SEO, paid search. These are just going to be products that bring people down the sales funnel. It's how we can capture people when they're actively getting online and searching for a plumber near me or paint stores near me. If people are going online and searching, we want to make sure that we're getting in front of them. I really like this stat here too. 88% of people searching for a local business will call or visit that business within 24 hours. So if someone's trying to find you, they hop on Google, they look for that, landscaping services near me, and you don't show up, your competitors will show up and they may right then and there switch to a competitor of yours. So really important to have that online presence kind of dialed in. And then the next slide here just kind of ties everything together, showing the importance of having a full funnel strategy. Doesn't mean we have to have a product for each one of these levels or these stages in the sales funnel, but certainly something you're going to want to consider when you're looking at the sales funnel or when you're deciding where to spend those ad dollars. And then the last slide is probably my favorite because it shows us different products here that match up with the sales funnel. So a really great visual to know which products to suggest in the customer journey. And again, branding and awareness, that's where we can fill up the sales funnel, use things like programmatic display, maybe some email in there, really bringing new customers. Further down the funnel at that consideration and intent, maybe at this point we want to bring in geofencing or email, that longer form content. And then once we get to the bottom, that conversion and retention, we're using those lower funnel products ultimately to get the customer to purchase from us or to work with us, and then for them to come back. When looking at the sales funnel, any product that we talk about today or any product that we talk about introducing into a marketing strategy, we want that to enhance what you're currently doing. We don't want that to take away from any strategies that you might already have in place. So maybe you're already doing a direct mail campaign. You have that branding and awareness covered. So if we were to add a digital product, maybe we look towards, intent, conversion, and retention. So we're able to nurture our customers down the sales funnel. And again, really have these products work together, not against each other. And anything we build into the strategy, just enhancing your overall marketing plan. All right, so next we'll get into audience targeting, We know where people sit in the customer funnel, but this is really going to show us how we can reach and how we can speak to this group of customers. Behavioral and demographic targeting, this really comes into play with something like programmatic display. So we're looking at the top of our funnel, we're using behaviors and demographics to pinpoint our target audience and then let them know about our products and services. There's quite a few different ways to target here. You can see this first section, we have some in-market home service categories. All this means is we'd be targeting people in market for perhaps home and garden services or in market for electrician services. We're able to target this way because we're using the trade desk. And you can really think of the trade desk as a digital stock exchange. It's really where all of these behaviors and elements live, how we're able to reach your target audience. And this is based off people's online behaviors. So there's things like cookies tracking online behavior and different platforms in the background that let us know this person may be male, this person may be prone to having a house that's worth this much. And all of that is aggregated to help us target a very specific person. So we can go after people looking for certain services. On the flip side, we could also target B2B. So this might come into play if you're looking ever to do a recruitment campaign or target other professionals in your industry. And then we can target things like home attributes. Do they have a swimming pool? What is their roofing material made out of? How old is the house? And this is by no means an exhaustive list here. Please reach out to us if you're interested in us helping to define that target audience. There are hundreds of thousands of behaviors in the trade desk in different ways that we're able to target using these behaviors and demographics. So this is just a sample, but again, really powerful way for us to fill our sales funnel to reach those customers who are our target audience but may not have purchased from us yet. Moving on to the next slide, another really effective way to target or a strong strategy here with these display ads is to add in site retargeting. This simply means that a pixel or a piece of code is placed on your site. And then whenever a customer comes to your website, we're collecting their information and retargeting them with more ads. So maybe, we're targeting initially through some programmatic display. We're targeting someone with a swimming pool. That's what we know. Maybe we repair pools, and we're able to reach that person by targeting them knowing they have a swimming pool. Once they receive that ad, if they click on that ad and navigate to our website, we now have the ability to retarget that same person as they leave our website and navigate to other websites. So again, just a really powerful tool to reach an engaged audience and something we offer on our display campaigns. We do need a pixel placed. We do have a team who's able to help with that free of charge, but a really strong way to be able to target that engaged audience. The next way we can target people is through email targeting. This really fits into that research and consideration phase of the sales funnel. Obviously, email is going to be longer form content than something like a display ad, so it gives you a chance to interact and communicate with your customers. You can educate them on your business or your services, talk about what makes you different and your differentiators. And then we oftentimes see email used for things like sales and promotions, discounts, offers, anything along those lines. So that longer format, and again, more towards the research and consideration. And similar to display, we can target people based on their home value, their property type, their net worth. This is just a small sample of what we can target. So please reach out to us. We'd love to show you, specific targets for your business. But all of the emails that we're sending these to, everyone has opted in through online surveys, registrations, e-subscriptions, so they are CAN spam compliant. So we do know that these emails are going to real people who have confirmed that they fall into these specific behavioral or demographic categories. And on the next slide, we have another email feature. Perfect. So email redeployment. Once we send your initial email, maybe we send 50,000 emails to a group of homeowners. We can also send an email redeployment. Essentially, this means after the initial email is sent, we can send a second email. We typically do this about 7 days after. And that second email can go to anyone who opened the first email, clicked on the first email, or did not open the first email. So again, similar to that site retargeting, through a strategy like this, we're able to hit that same customer base who's already shown interest in your product or service. All right, this next slide here is also one of my favorites. It just gives a quick overview of the anatomy of a search engine. So as just a reminder, on the right-hand side, you can see up top, those are paid search ads, also known as SEM, search engine marketing, Google Ads. All of those different things mean paid search, and it's a Google product. I really like to think of paid search as paying your rent. The second you stop giving Google money for paid search, your ads are no longer going to appear. So it's kind of that pay to play. When people are hopping online and looking for painting services near me, you can pay to have your ad show up top. The next section is really focused on local SEO. So this is really going to come into play for the map section in the Google My Business. And then the bottom section there are your organic results. Certainly takes a little bit more time to be able to show up on Google organically than it is through something like paid search. And I really like to think of organic as paying your mortgage, SEM as paying your rent. Those are all three Google products or things that we can do on Google to make sure that we're showing up and taking up inventory when our customers are searching for us online. These next two slides just touch on local SEO. This is a really, really important piece or product for any service area business. So anyone who meets with their customers regularly, this is going to be a key product, or at least something that you're going to want to have a baseline online presence for. You've probably all seen these knowledge panels where it says Abacus Plumbing. That's what we refer to as the knowledge panel. And then that second screenshot we refer to as the local 3-pack. So by optimizing your Google business profile, that knowledge panel, by making sure you have imagery, by making sure you have reviews, your information is up to date and correct. The more we follow Google's rules when it comes to this local business profile, the more likely we are going to be able to show up in that local 3-pack when people are searching for us. So really the point of local SEO, the more we have filled out on this Google business profile, the more we're making sure this information is accurate, the more reputable we become in Google's eyes. So the more likely they are to serve us when someone's going to Google and typing in for that plumber near me. And then this next slide here just talks about some things that you're able to do. If you run local SEO, these are all things that should be taken care of, but these are all things that you can do as a business owner, as an employee, to improve your local SEO or your local presence on Google. So first and foremost, you want to make sure that this Google business profile is claimed. I know it's a little bit small, but at the bottom there's a section that says own this business ? I highly recommend everyone clicking on that, own this business, and it will actually tell you who manages that Google business profile account. So you want to make sure that if you're the business owner, you have your own Google business profile claimed. You want to make sure that we have high resolution imagery, our hours and information are up to date, and then that we're taking advantage of all of the features that Google prioritizes in this Google business profile. So things like posts, which you can see in that longer screenshot, The more that, again, we play by Google's rules here, the more they're going to be willing to serve us when people are conducting searches online. All right, and I will pass it back over to Kevin.
Webinar. Oh, thank you, Kelly. I should have prefaced the webinar at the introduction just to explain really the power of the digital marketing is its targetability. So Kelly had already outlined and shared some base level targeting metrics that make sense for the home service industry in general. And she alluded to the fact that we can get pretty precise based on your audience and who you're looking to target, whether or not they're in markets, and through different solution sets. So, what I'll share with you is after the fact, after we have targeted this target audience, and we've pushed out your marketing message through different platforms, whether that's on Google, through local SEO, or pay-per-click, or search engine optimization, or through display advertising via programmatic display targeting a target audience, or through site retargeting, or through email marketing. What happens next? How are my dollars being leveraged? What is working? What isn't working? How do we know? And that's where measuring performance comes in and reporting. So keep in mind that key element is the targetability can be pretty succinct, highly targeted. And then from there, once we go to market, we develop a strategy as to which platforms are going to be the best fit based on your goals and your needs and your budgets. Once that campaign is live and it's been running for a little while, you have access to reporting, and we share reporting and communicate reporting with you to show you what is working, what isn't working, where am I getting a return on investment, how can I prioritize and reallocate my marketing dollars most effectively to get the biggest return on investment. And that's the power of those two elements, the targeting and the reporting, really is what makes digital marketing highly valuable. I've worked with a lot of people in the home service industry, whether it's contractors, cleaners, cesspool, pool service, installation, you name it. It's probably an industry that you work in currently. And these solutions are highly effective because of that targetability and because of the reporting. Not every campaign works exactly the same for every person. Certain geographies perform better, certain solutions perform better. And through these reporting metrics that I'm about to jump into now, we're able to identify that proactively. So we lead with our best foot forward. We target the correct audience. We come up with the best solution set and strategy we think that makes sense based on your budget and your goals. We go to market and we start advertising. And then we use this feedback, this data from reporting to identify how well this is working and how much better can we make it work. So I'll jump into reporting here and why it matters. And I pretty much already overviewed transparency. When you're spending money, it's important to know where your marketing dollars are going. Which solution is this going out in? How many people are seeing it? What is the cost? What am I getting as a result of my spend? What is my return on investment? The reporting helps us make educated decisions. It helps to inform you and give us valuable feedback. So we can look at the data and the metrics and see how many times your ad has been seen, how many times it's been clicked, how many conversions you have gotten through a phone call or an email or whatever we otherwise identify as conversion. But your feedback through that process is helpful, and that reporting can help you provide us with some insightful feedback and kind of kickstart and jumpstart. Oh yes, this geography, I see on the report that it's getting a lot of impressions, a lot of clicks, and a lot of conversions. I do recall booking a few appointments in this area. Maybe we want to prioritize the budget accordingly and focus on certain zip codes or counties accordingly. So it allows us to be more proactive and be educated, and most importantly, build trust. This is, value of this again is because of that transparency and the proof of return on investment, we're able to develop a relationship over time and feel comfortable working with each other and trusting us as a consultant and pointing you in the right direction based on data, objective feedback that you could see in real time, in black and white, and your subjective feedback as well as to what is and is not working, so that we can once again reallocate your marketing dollars most effectively and get the best return on investment. So certain elements that we can track, and this once again is not exhaustive. Each solution has different metrics that we're able to measure, some of them being more important for that particular solution or not. If you recall that sales funnel, some solutions are more branding and awareness oriented, where we're just trying to get in front of a targeted audience with information that might be of interest to them, attempting to fill up the top of that funnel with somewhat interested individuals. And other solutions are meant to move them down further along that funnel. Once they're in the research phase, or they have intent, or they're ready to convert. And today's the day. They've been talking about remodeling the kitchen for 6 months. They've interacted with your business several times through your display ad or your social media ad, or they've seen your email marketing, but they weren't quite yet ready to convert. But then they hop onto Google, they look for kitchen remodelers near me, they see your advertisement, they click on it, and now they're on your page again, they call you, they email you, and they've converted. So these different solutions have different metrics that we're measuring, and they're all important to that specific solution in different ways. Most people are most interested in conversions, and if we're driving a conversion campaign and that's the goal, that's a key metric that we're going to pay attention to. But other things that we're going to keep an eye on, and by we, I mean you as the advertiser, as the marketer, us as the marketer rather, and the campaign manager. The campaign manager is using this data uh, alongside the consultant to identify, based on these metrics, where to lead us down the path of what is most effective. So certain metrics would be impressions, for example. That would be how many times your advertisement has been seen visibly. It's popped up on the screen, whether that's through display on weather.com or some app, or it's on social media in the news feed, that advertisement actually scrolled past somebody's eyeballs, or they're on Google, they do a search, your advertisement pops up. If it is seen, if it is viewable on the screen, that's an impression. And impressions are great. It builds brand, it builds awareness. It's not a conversion, it's not a click. There's no engagement necessarily there, but there is awareness there. And that's something to keep in mind. Some other forms of traditional media like radio or TV, you could spend thousands of dollars. You have a time slot, you have a schedule, roughly how many subscribers there are, but you don't know necessarily how many people actually saw the advertisement. Where when you were slotted to have your radio commercial broadcasted, was somebody actually listening during that time slot or not? So with digital marketing, at least that advertisement was seen, and that would be an impression. How many times your advertisement was clicked on? Obviously, they see the advertisement. They're interested in, to some degree, and curious. So they click on the advertisement and they're brought to your website. That would be a click. That shows some level of engagement, some level of interest. And if we have a multi-solution strategy, a whole of funnel strategy, then we can continuously work them down. We could retarget those individuals at a later date through site retargeting, for example. The CTR, which is called click-through rate, that's just a ratio of how many times was your ad seen compared to how many times it was clicked. Obviously, the goal here being attempting to get your click-through rate higher. And where this may be applicable is, let's say you're running 3 or 4 different campaigns with different creatives, different imagery, different wording on the same type of solution. Let's say it's all display advertising. If there is a campaign that is performing better and it's getting a higher click-through rate, that means more people are clicking on it when they see it. Perhaps that, though, we want to take a closer look at that particular creative and make a educated guess as to why that might be happening. Is it the creative? Is it the wording? Are there strong call to actions there? Is the audience targeting more in line with the messaging? So that click-through rate will help us to identify a campaign that's performing strongly and lead us down a path of exploration to identify what may or may not be resulting in that. We can make some suggestions and say, hey, I think this creative is a little bit stronger. Let's try to replicate this in your other campaigns and see if it has a positive effect or not. And then move forward from there. Wait a couple of weeks, see what the data comes back with. and see if it made a positive or negative change, and then try another variable. Maybe it was the messaging. Maybe we got to mess around with the audience targeting. Conversions are pretty straightforward. This would be really anything you want to identify as a conversion. Every business is different. Phone calls and email inquiries specifically, are probably the top two most important conversions for most clients. They want to know how many phone calls did I get and how many email inquiries did I get. Some people want to email you, some people want to call you. Some other forms of conversions might be they click on a particular page of your website, or they click on a scheduler and book an appointment on your website. Those could all be labeled as conversions as well. It really depends on your goals, your objectives, and the solution that we're providing, well, what might be labeled as a conversion. Performance by geography. So we can look at, if you see on the slide here, down towards the bottom of this report, you'll see different zip codes, what that actual town location is. This is blurred out for privacy reasons. How many impressions were served in each one of those individual zip codes, how many clicks they had received, how many conversions they have received. So in this situation, we could see perhaps there are stronger performing geographies. Let's say you're spending $2,000 a month and you're targeting 30 geographies, but really 10 or 15 of them are really pulling the weight of the campaign and getting a strong return on investment. And the other 10 or 15 are laggards, and they're not necessarily doing anything that's exciting or what we would consider a return on investment. What we might want to do in a situation like that is scale back on those geographies that are underperforming, take that same budget and push it more into those geographies that are performing. Now, this obviously would depend on whether or not the demand is there in those geographies or not, but that is something that we would keep an eye on and educate you on and ask for your opinion as we share that suggestion. Top performing channels. So if we're doing display advertising, which websites are performing the best, what type of device is performing the best? Are most people seeing this advertisement on their phone or on their desktop or a tablet? And there's much more. Once again, I'll go into a little bit more detail on a couple of these other reports based on solution. But I figured the best next thing to do to really help you to understand how this all works together is to create an example and walk through what might be the suggested targeting options, what might be the suggested solutions, and then what would the reporting look like for each of those solutions, and how will we go about reviewing that reporting and making decisions along the way so we can get more bang for our money. So in this example here, I did a roofing contractor. It's one of my go-to examples. So if you're a roofing contractor and you were looking to advertise online, you're looking to get more business, more branding, more awareness, more leads, this might be how we would suggest you go to market. And once again, there's a multitude of targeting options. This is just for example's sake, just so you can understand this a bit more conceptually as to what the targeting might be and what the different solution sets might be and what that would look like. So targeting options might be you want to target particular zip codes or a radius around your location or specific counties or a county. You want to target people who are searching on Google, and we could do that through the maps section or the pay-per-click section, otherwise known as SEM at the top, or organically in the organic section, which is a little nuanced, and I'll talk about that in a second. Maybe we want to target homeowners because we're not necessarily going to target renters. That's more of a landlord situation. Maybe we want to reach a certain income threshold so that you're not arguing as much about pricing. So maybe the household income is over $200,000. It could be higher. Let's say you're somebody who works out in the Hamptons and you only want high-end clientele. Then we can target those high-end clients. Target them by net worth. We can target them by household income. Perhaps they recently moved, or maybe they have an aging home. The house was built in a certain time frame and they should be due for a new roof relatively soon. That could be another targeting option. Maybe they're actually in the market looking for roof repair and installation. And as Kelly had touched upon earlier, through the trade desk, we have access to that data. We understand through different data providers whether or not somebody has an interest in a particular product or service based on their behaviors online, how they interact with um, different pages on the internet, their search queries, their geolocation on their phone. There's a bunch of different data providers. Think of Google, think of Meta, which would be Facebook and Instagram. They all buy and sell each other's data, and then there's these data aggregators. So that's how we identify whether or not they might be in the market for something specific. And then perhaps we want to retarget those individuals. So now we've developed a strategy where, okay, we want to get in front of these individuals. We think they might be in the market. So we have display advertising targeting those people. They visited your website. Now we're using display advertising again to retarget them and showing them your advertisement once again. Now they're ready. They hop on Google. They search for a roofing contractor near me. And if you are doing map listing optimization or local optimization and pay-per-click, you're taking up a good chunk of real estate in that area. So we really prefer to have a whole of funnel approach because all of these touch points will help to increase the likelihood of converting that potential consumer into a client of yours. So with those targeting details in mind, some of the solutions that we would suggest would be Google, the local optimization, which would be the map listings, pay-per-click, perhaps SEO, and I'll say perhaps simply because it is a strategy that's really more meant for mid to long-term thinking. You know, it's an investment that takes time to get running. I prefer personally when I consult to suggest pay-per-click or SEM first so that we could use that data to identify what keywords are working, what geographies are working, and we could develop a more defined strategy for SEO and feel a lot more confident that if and when you do make that investment, that when you do show up on the first page, that you're showing up for keywords and in areas where people are likely to convert. So SEO is a tricky solution. It's really done on a case by case basis, really like any of these solutions. But there's a lot more to it. There's some moving parts that need to be considered. There's a wait time for how long it takes to start to yield results. You have to have a healthy budget and a pain tolerance to wait. So we'll touch upon it quickly, but it might be a suggestion that's rolled out. Display advertising, like I had mentioned, search retargeting we could use it for, which would be somebody searches on Google for a roofing contractor. They leave Google, they're on weather.com, and then they see your advertisement. Site retargeting would be they visited your website. Now you are retargeting them with that display advertisement. And I'll show examples in a second. Programmatic would be more of that top of funnel branding and awareness strategy where we're targeting these different targeting options because they are your target audience. They might be interested in your services, but they're not necessarily proactively going out of their way looking for your services just yet. You're just letting them know, hey, you might be somebody who wants to do business with me at some point in the future. I'm here. I am great at what I do. Consider me when you're ready, type of thing. Social ads. So Facebook and Instagram primarily, same type of targeting capabilities, or at least similarly type of targeting capabilities. You can do retargeting on there as well if you have a pixel installed on your website. And then lastly, and not necessarily lastly, this isn't in any type of priority or hierarchy, would be in-market email or email targeting in general, depending if we want top of funnel or more bottom of funnel type of strategy. So I'm going to go through each of these suggestions. This is the funnel just to remind you of what we were talking about before. Some of these solutions are more top of funnel. Some of them are more bottom of funnel. Top of funnel is they have some level of interest. You're engaging with them. Bottom of the funnel is they're ready to convert. They want to do business with somebody. Let's have a strategy in place so that you're more likely the business that they choose rather than your competitor. So starting with local optimization and SEM, if we were to do a search on Google, roofing contractor near me, the top of that results page, it says sponsored. Those individuals are doing SEM, search engine marketing, otherwise known as pay-per-click advertising. So Kelly had mentioned that this is like renting space. As long as you have a budget here, you can pay to be there. What you're actually paying for is the physical click. So if somebody doesn't click on your advertisement, you don't pay for that impression. That's a free impression. You're getting branding and awareness basically for free as long as you have a budget available to be spent. When somebody physically clicks on that advertisement, so they have to go out of their way, they have to search for your service in your service area. So you've defined a geography, whether it's zip code based, county based, or a radius around your location. They're searching for your services. So we're identifying a bunch of keyword phrases that somebody may type into Google and saying, if anybody types these phrases in my geography that I've defined, I want my advertisement to show up. Once your ad shows up, you're getting that branding and awareness. Once they physically click, your budget is being debited from, and they're going to your website. So this is performance-based marketing. You're renting the space, but it's performance-based. You're paying for some level of results. Local SEO would be that map listing optimization, as Kelly had outlined. If you take all those factors into consideration, Google wants you to have things filled out a certain way. They want you to have good reviews and plentiful reviews. They want your listing to be robust. This is really meant for foundational advertising. You should show up more or less in your backyard, especially for your name. Like if you search for your name on Google and you can't be found, you have an issue. And a simple fix for that is local optimization. If somebody is searching for your service in your backyard, you're physically located in, let's say, Yaphank, and somebody is in Yaphank and they search roofing contractor near me. In this example, it's Port Jeff Station. That's where I'm located. These are the three individuals who show up in my backyard because they have optimized their map listing and taking all those factors into consideration. The map listing is a powerful tool if you can get in that 3-pack, because the majority of the traffic, about half or so, is going to that map listing. When somebody does a local near me search, it's because they want to do business with somebody local. So if you could have a local presence on Google when somebody is searching locally for your services, that's a strong opportunity for conversion. I think Kelly had mentioned a statistic of something like 88% of people who search on Google are looking or will call a business within 24 hours after that search. So these two elements are some very important real estate areas of Google. On the reporting side, this is the information that you would be able to review in real time, more or less, some more so than others. But you'd be able to learn actionable insights. So this would be the local SEO reporting. So this is the map section. You'd be able to see how many people clicked to get directions. That might be not be as pertinent for the home service industry, but phone calls and website clicks certainly are pertinent. And you could see what that trend looks like over time. So let's say we helped you to do map listing optimization. We took over in January of last year. You could look at this map or this report rather, and identify what direction is my presence going in. Am I getting more call to actions? Am I getting more clicks? Am I getting more impressions? And then you could do a side-by-side comparison over a certain time period of how well optimized, not necessarily optimized, but how well trafficked is that map listing of yours? How many impressions am I getting on these different properties, whether it's Google or Bing, etc. Additionally, within that reporting, you could see your reviews. How many reviews do you have? How many reviews have you gotten recently? Are you responding to these reviews? What is your average rating over time? What does that trend look like? Reviews is a very important element to your map listing. Google weights it fairly heavily. Not only should you have a decent amount of reviews, but those reviews should have people not just giving you 5 stars and that's it. If they could actually type something in there that's helpful, that's maybe even keyword focused, this roofing contractor is the best roofing contractor I've ever worked with. They did my roof in Riverhead, New York, etc. All of those little keywords within the review will actually help your listing rank as well. And then you responding to those reviews is also something that is helpful, not only in the eyes of Google and ranking, but more importantly, consumers. Consumers, when they're looking in that 3-pack in those local businesses, they want to see what other people have to say about you. And are you somebody that they might want to do business with? So having a healthy presence online, not only are you ranking well, but when somebody sees you, do they like what they see? Are you providing the information that they want? And are other people vetting you and approving of your um, business? The SCM reporting is very robust. We have quite a lot of detail that we can comb through in here. You have a link that you will receive. You can view this in real time. Some of the key metrics that you're going to see, the key performance indicators, would be impressions. So the impressions, once again, is how many times has your advertisement been seen over a certain period of time. And you could manipulate that time period. You could look the last 7 days, yesterday, the last 30 days, 90 days, a very specific time frame. Maybe you're running a particular promotion, and you could see all of these stats in that time frame that you choose. How many clicks have you received? What is your click-through rate? How many times have people engaged with your ad after seeing it? How many conversions have you received? What your conversion rate is? How much have you spent? What is your cost per conversion, your average cost per click, and your impression share on this slide, at least. I've got more reporting details to share with you. Now, if you are looking closely at this report, some elements might jump out to you quite a bit. Something that might jump out to you would be cost per conversion. So this particular client is spending $217 for a conversion, which might sound high. And I'll explain why it's not for this particular client. This particular client does mold, fire damage, and water restoration, which is a very competitive industry, typically expensive to advertise in, but has a high return on investment opportunity. So when they close a fire damage job or a water damage restoration job, and insurance pays it out, it's typically a sizable job for them. So the return on investment opportunity is there. The reason why this is great for this client, this cost per conversion, is the previous agency that they were working with was charging them something like 70 something dollars per click. Our average cost per click was like $11, almost $12, significantly lower. And the reason for that was, and you have to pay attention to out there, is some agencies will not tell you how many dollars or what percentage of your budget is actually going towards Google and how much they are keeping as their profit margin. So in this particular example, if I had the stats from their previous reporting, their average cost per click was in the $70 range, which suggests to us that they were keeping like 60% of their budget or so for themselves and only allocating like 40% of their budget towards Google, which is significant. We're much more transparent than that. We tell you exactly what our margins are based on your spend. We have different spend level management fees. And then lastly, the other element here that most people don't pay attention to is this impression share. This impression share means how much demand are you showing up in front of? So with your current spend, with your current budget, in the areas that you're advertising for and the keywords that we're advertising for, how often do you show up compared to how much demand there is? So in this example, they're showing up 49% of the time, which means in the same area for the same keywords, if their campaign is performing well and they like it and they're getting a strong return on investment, they could spend pretty much twice as much, just about, to attempt to maximize all of the demand in that area. And this is something I like to personally keep an eye on, because if you keep in mind the law of averages and statistics, the people who are searching on Google, not all of them are ready to convert now. We have many distractions in life. The kid spills yogurt, you walk away from the computer. Next thing you know, you're not circling back to this till 2 or 3 days later. You conduct another search. If your budget isn't healthy for the geography you want to show up in, you might not show up that second time when that particular individual is searching and ready to pull the trigger. So if you can get that impression share higher with any given budget, and there's a couple ways to do that. We could maybe scale back the geography. or we could limit the amount of keywords. Maybe we want to prioritize, maybe you have a bunch of different services that you want. Maybe we want to prioritize the stronger performing services, the ones that have a higher opportunity for return on investment, and therefore increase your impression share for those services specifically. Use those marketing dollars wisely, get a strong return on investment, and then start to layer in these other services. So these are things as a consultant that I'm looking at and helping to point you in the right direction to make an educated decision on. More on the SEM reporting, we could look at the performance by campaign. So in this particular example, they have a North Fork and they have a South Fork campaign. How are they performing in relation to each other? Do we want to prioritize the budget accordingly? That has already been done. You know, the North Fork gets about a third of the budget and the South Fork gets about 2/3 of the budget. And then the geography, which zip codes, locations are performing, how many impressions they've received, how many clicks, and how many conversions. Once again, this might point out some areas of interest that we really want to, not only for these solutions, but for their marketing in general. Let's say they do print or they do radio or they do some of these other forms of marketing that aren't digital. Perhaps these are areas that they really want to prioritize their budget in if they're able to do so. So if they're performing strongly in East Hampton and Southampton, they're getting the most conversions in those two areas. Maybe they want to take their marketing dollars that are in their other marketing budgets, other media, and apply them accordingly more strongly in these higher performing areas. Also, we could look at the conversions. And as I had mentioned before, there's different things that we can track as a conversion. In this particular example, they're tracking phone calls, both calls from their websites. You know, somebody clicks through the ad, they go to their website and then they call them, or they are on their phone, they click on the phone number that's in the ad and call them immediately without clicking through to their website. We could detail those conversions, what areas are performing well, what is this potential return on investment here. We could also track email form fills, like I had mentioned before, book an appointment, maybe they visit a particular page or they download some sort of offer. If there's a button to click, we could track it as a conversion. But keep in mind, we really want to label those conversions appropriately and make sure that they are a conversion that is of interest. Furthermore, we could do a robust keyword analysis. This is just the top 5 performing keywords. But once again, you could see based on a keyword, how many impressions have they received for that keyword, clicks, the click-through rate, all the metrics we covered before, what that cost per conversion is, and we could identify something that's performing strongly. So in this case, water damage restoration by far is getting the most conversions and is costing the least per conversion. This is a conversation that I've had with this client. It's a direction we might be moving in where we are going to allocate the budget more strongly in that direction. So this is very helpful data feedback for us. And then lastly, you can kind of see a heat map of impressions or clicks or click-through rate or conversion rate based on hours or days. So in the actual report itself, these different options would be clickable and this heat map would change accordingly. The campaign manager and really Google's machine learning algorithm can utilize this information to fine tune your campaign and get a stronger conversion over time. So the more data that we accumulate, the more the campaign manager, myself as the consultant, and Google's actual machine learning algorithm could then take that data, apply it accordingly, and attempt to get a lower cost per conversion, therefore more conversions for the same budget. So that would be local optimization and SEM, just kind of tying what those are and what the reporting would look like on the back end. For SEO, I'm just going to show you where SEO shows up on the search results page. It's under the map section. This is ranked based on Google's algorithm. It's based on a bunch of details on your website and as well as off your website, how many articles, blogs, backlinks you have, etc. We're not going to get into it today. Like I said, it's really a distinct solution that's that requires a lot of attention and detail and a lengthier conversation than we're prepared to have today. It is a great place to be, but you do have to have a healthy budget for it, and you do have to have a tolerance to wait for it to take effect. What I mean by that is a budget north of $2,000 a month, um, and patience to invest that $2,000 a month for 6+ months, maybe longer, depending on how competitive your industry is, um, before it starts to bear fruit. So most businesses are not prepared for that type of investment. It's not necessary that you have this in place. It is a great long-term strategy, and there is a way to layer it in over time in the long run. It is the right thing to do. But my suggestion always is let's try to get as much business from the low-hanging fruit as possible, most cost effectively, with the strongest return on investment, develop a intelligent strategy for SEO. And then when the budget is available and you're confident in our abilities and comfortable with us, then you might be willing to make that longer term investment. Moving on to display advertising. So this is an example of display advertising. Through the Trade Desk Network, we're able to capitalize the top 5,000 websites and apps. Apps are becoming incredibly important because a lot of people spend a lot of time on apps, and the benefit there on the app base, which I don't have an example of, but if you've ever played like a game on your phone, like solitaire or something like that, you'll see a little banner ad at the top. It is the only advertisement on that page. So that is one of the benefits to being displaying your display advertisement on an app, is the fact that you're not crowding in with other types of advertisers. Um, but there are a couple of ways that we could target individuals on this. So you'd be on the top 5,000 websites and apps, and your targeting would be based on the strategy. So if it was programmatic, then that would be the targeting details we define, your target audience, whether they are in market, they have a household income over a certain threshold, net worth, new home buyer, age of a home, you name it. We could probably target it. That is who would see these advertisements. If they meet that criteria and they're on the internet in the geography that we've defined, they have the opportunity to see your advertisement. Site retargeting would be they visited your website has a pixel on it, we track them, they go to another website, once again, they're on weather, for example, your advertisement then has the opportunity to show. And then search retargeting would be they were on Google, they searched for your services in your service area, we are retargeting them, they leave Google, they're on another website or app, and then they have the opportunity to see your display advertisements. And then the reporting examples here, once again, are going to be impressions, clicks, click-through rate, and conversions. Now, you don't have some of the other details like the SEM report does, like the cost per conversion or the impression share and things of that nature. The cost, yes, the impression share and the cost per conversion. But really, you got to keep in mind, more often than not, display advertising is really meant to be branding and awareness oriented. So impressions is the main and primary data metric that we're going to be measuring. How many eyeballs saw this advertisement? It's top of the funnel. And then the next thing would be how much level of interest have we gotten from these individuals? And if we have some ability to track conversions, if there's a button that they are clicking or a page that they're viewing on your website, we could track those conversions as well. And social ads here's an example. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're scrolling through your news feed, and then you see an advertisement within that news feed with some copy up here, some imagery here. This could be video based, it could be one image, it could be a series of images, and then some sort of call to action where they can click and go to your website. Similar targeting details as display advertising. So household income, they're interested in something specifically, they're in a certain geography, etc. As far as reporting is concerned, we could tell you what the reach was, how many different individuals are seeing this, the impressions, how many times has that advertisement been served, which is a little bit different than reach. Reach would be individuals that meet that criteria that saw your advertisement. The impressions would be how many times that ad was seen. So that same person can see the advertisement multiple times, which is called frequency. And you do want people to see your advertisement frequently. You want them to see it 2, 3, 4, 8, 10 times. It typically takes about 8 touch points in order for somebody to convert into a lead. So you want your reach, you want your impressions to be higher than your reach, ideally. How many clicks you've received, your click-through rate, the demographics, what are the age and gender of the individuals that are clicking on your ads. This might give you some insight as to how you might want to tailor your messaging going forward. Maybe it appeals to a more specific audience demographically, or what platform are they mostly viewing these advertisements on? Maybe if it's an older demographic, like it is in this example here, they're more on Facebook than they are on Instagram. So this data seems to marry up with that. And then in-market email is an example of what an email looks like when it goes out. And then the reporting would be, and once again, as far as targeting is concerned, you can see here, targeting particular zip codes, homeowners with over $150,000 income who are in market up here, for roofing repair and installation. So we could pull a report. You let us know what that audience is, what that area is, and we could pull a report letting you know how many subscribers we can target based on those details. In this example, we delivered this email blast out to 32,499 individuals. 6,800 people opened it, which is a 20% open rate, which for a cold email is excellent. These are people who never expected to get an email from this particular person, even though they were in the market for roofing. Out of those 6,800 people, 983 people opened it, which is a 14% click to open ratio. And then the click-through rate, 3%, would be how many people opened it compared to how many people it was delivered to. Furthermore, in this report, once again, you would have a link where you could view this in real time, is there's different areas on the advertisement, the email ad, that they can click on. And you have a breakdown as to which areas of the email did individuals click on to then navigate to your website. Now, if you have different services you're offering, they can go to different pages of your website specifically. You want that continuity in your messaging. So this would be insightful as to what really are these people interested in. And maybe the next time we send out an email, we might want to be a little bit more mindful with the messaging and the audience and maybe push it in a particular direction because based on the clicks, they went to a particular service that you provide, and that insightful for the next go around. And with that, I'll leave it open to questions. I see that we have one here. If we add a tracking number to an email, does a client need to supply? Yes, if the client has a tracking number. So there are third-party tracking services like CallRail, for example, that you could subscribe to and pay like $40 a month. And you could have a different phone number that you could place into any of your ads. It could be email, it could be digital, it could be print, it could be radio, it could be anything. It would be a specific number that works like call forwarding. So they call that number, it forwards directly to wherever you want the destination to be. And then you have this login dashboard you can log into and see who called, when they called, how long the conversation lasted, etc. So yes, if the client has a tracking number they want to add to email, then we would need to know what that tracking is. Are there any other questions? If anybody wants to enter into chat or ask a question. Ellie, you have anything to add?
I don't think so, Kevin. I was just going to reiterate the fact that everything we showed today was pretty high level, especially when it comes to capabilities with the products and the targeting. So please reach out to us. We'd love to pull some real custom targeting for your business and really show you what our recommendation for those specific capabilities and targeting elements would be.
Yeah, and keep in mind, once again, guys, this is really kind of just the tip of the iceberg. There's a ton of other solutions that we offer that might be a fit for your needs. These were just the solutions we thought might be most pertinent to this industry, and using roofing contractor as an example. Well, the intent there was to really just kind of tie it in, not to speak only to roofing contractors, but to really just make a case for how do we deploy a strategy, what would the different targeting be, the solutions, and the reporting that you would get to allow you to see transparently how your marketing dollars are going to work and what that return on investment is. So if there are no questions, we'll wrap it up here. Appreciate everybody attending. If you would like to reach out to us, you can reach out to whoever invited you today, or you could email digitalsolutions@schnepsmedia.com.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.